Hey guys, Leona here with Empowering Wellness. Happy Tuesday, week 3 of our 5-week series to being unstoppable. I am so excited to have Dr. Ellen joining us again tonight. We're sharing this into our virtual book club. If you are not part of the Empowering Wellness virtual book club, you want to make sure that you're getting the opportunity to join us in there. I put the link in the comments so you could easily find it. If you still have not had a chance to grab Ellen's book, you want to make sure that I added that in the Amazon link that you're getting From Simply Surviving to Radically Thriving, the 5 steps to unleash the unstoppable you, on her Amazon page, which is listed above as well. And we want to make sure that you're taking notes. You've got pens, you've got papers. We'll be putting journal entries into it. Remember, this is an interactive, fun way to be able to truly get to know Ellen and her books and all the ways to become unstoppable, which is just perfectly in time from the Unstoppable You Summit that is happening next week from December 8th through the 12th. And Ellen and I are both talking on day number 1 because, as we know, we start with ourself and then we go outward. Day 1 is about self. Ellen and I are going to be talking on day 1. Then we've got our second day, health and vitality. Our third day is spirituality. Fourth day, relationships. And fifth is all about manifesting abundance. So very exciting 5 days. We have amazing speakers. So make sure if you haven't had a chance to join us yet, that we'll make sure that Ellen puts her link into the bottom of this comment so you can sign up to join us to becoming unstoppable. And it looks like, Ellen, you have your little mute button thingy on the bottom there. So I want to make sure you unmute yourself. There we go. Yay. And can you hear me?
Hey, friend, I can hear you. My earbuds weren't on. So
I'm going to get my earbuds because I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, I can try turning me up.
So
my air conditioner.
Put my earbuds in. So you go ahead and start talking, and I'm going to get them. They're downstairs.
All right. Well, hello and welcome. I just see that some people are joining on with us. So thank you so much. Yes, I am working on that. Tina, my phone unfortunately needs to be charged. As you know, we were on a meeting all day today. So is that a little bit better? Can you see my whole face now? I know there's a lot of glare too with the screen on my glasses, so I am apologizing for that, but here we are. So I am so excited that my 5 steps to unstoppable you is my light formula. And I just wanted to go over really quickly what all 5 steps are, and then we'll dive into this week's, which is G for gratitude, which we touched on a little bit last week since it was right before Thanksgiving. And now that we're done with Thanksgiving, I'd like to go over that as well. So L is for love yourself first, because when we love ourselves first, when we fill our own cup, we can give so much more to the rest of the world, and we can show up and be the person that we really want to be. I don't know about all of you, but there were so many times in my life where I was just running from one thing to another, and I was not being the person that I really wanted to be. I was being rushed and short-tempered with myself and with others. So when I learned to slow down and take a breath and really take care of myself, then I can show up and be fully present for the people in my life and for myself. The I is the inner check-in, checking in and seeing what your body really needs. The G is gratitude and grace. So giving yourself gratitude for what you are accomplishing, grace for what you're not accomplishing, and we will dive into that a little bit deeper. The H is healthy foundations. And I can tell you from my own experience that my healthy foundations weren't always there. A lot of times I would eat a good meal when I worked at the hospital for lunch, and then dinner sometimes was Doritos and a Coke or Mountain Dew, which was actually my favorite. And you know, your body will run on whatever fuel you put in it. And we will be talking about that deeper next week. And then the last step in my life formula is take time for joy. So this book does support you through all 5 steps, and it does get you from surviving to thriving if you follow it. So
Amazing. And we want to let everybody know that we are meeting next week just by yourself, because with the Unstoppable You Summit, I have clients in the afternoon and evening that I'll be working on during that time period. The following week on the 16th, we're going to take a little pause, and then we're going to bring the final 5th week on the 23rd, right before the holiday season, to talk about joy, which is the perfect time. So Joy to the World will be
Joy
on
to
the
the World is
23rd, right
on the
before
20th.
Christmas.
Yes, thank you so much, Leona, for going over the schedule for the next couple of weeks. I really appreciate that. And again, really excited about the summit. I sent texts out today and put more things out on social media. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people on the summit. But gratitude. So what does gratitude do for us? It is actually a nervous system regulator. So if you can get yourself from a place of complaining or being a victim and find something to be grateful for, whether that is the sun shining or there's a truck going by on the highway that's creating some background noise, which hopefully you cannot hear with these earbuds in. You know, finding joy and acceptance around what is, and gratitude for what is, and the opportunity to learn something. So even the situations that are challenging, I know for myself, you know, sometimes being together with family, there can be conflict. And there was over the Thanksgiving holiday, and it was between my brother and his girlfriend. And before, I would always feel bad and insert myself in there. And I'm grateful that they're together. I'm grateful that I was in their home and we were getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner. And I trusted and gave them grace that the two of them could work out their issue. Because I know for myself, a lot of times in my life, I wanted to jump in and fix things or think that things shouldn't be the way that they are. And I just let them work it out and went for a walk and took a break and walked away. So just knowing that, yes, you can remove yourself from situations that don't support you. You can give gratitude for what is, and grace to cover the rest.
I love that.
So,
I think my Theta Master once said that was so cool, Magical Michelle, which will be on our spiritual day during our Unstoppable You Summit next week, that when we're in gratitude, we can't be in lack. Those frequencies cannot, because it's an energy, it's a frequency, and they cannot exist at the same time. So when you focus on those gratitudes, right? When we focus on gratitude, what we focus on, where our energy flows, right? What we focus on, that's where the energy flows. So if we're focusing on that gratitude, we can't be in lack of anything else. Nothing else really matters, because you're putting your energy and your frequency into that gratitude. And I love that you have gratitude and grace together, because sometimes we forget to be in gratitude. You know, we start venting to our friends, we're complaining, and they're like, wait, actually, let's do an awesome report. Let's actually like say something that we're grateful for. Let's switch the state and change the energy of the conversation and give ourselves grace that we're not perfect. We're human beings, right? Having a human being experience. We're practicing this thing called, you know, being human on this earth right now. And so, yeah, giving ourselves grace for that is absolutely amazing.
yes. And then, oops, sorry about that. I am trying to get this camera so that it's a bit better. Let's see if that
I know
looks like
we get cut
it's
off
working. Like I said, it's on the charger, so it does need to charge. And it's really just what Leona said. It allows us to hold two truths at once. So there can be painful situations, and if we can find even a thread of something to be grateful for, it can shift that energy and move us from one lower state of vibration to a higher state of vibration. Um, and it doesn't necessarily remove all of the pain. Um, and there's so much power in being able to hold the paradox, to hold the light and the dark together at the same time, and not have to fix or change either one of them, just in allowing them to be there. And
allowing, right? And
allowing,
surrendering to it.
yeah.
Surrender that this is where we're at, allowing it to flow. Those are some words that we hear a lot, but the practice of it definitely takes practice to allow, to accept, to surrender, to be in that flow with it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know about all of you, but sometimes, um, we feel like acceptance or surrender is giving up, is losing our power, or it means that we have to abandon ourselves. And in my previous example, I didn't abandon myself. I didn't jump into the fray between my brother and his girlfriend. I did what I needed to do. I stepped out and took a walk and allowed my nervous system that time to recalibrate, to check in with what I needed, and to just relax and know that it's not my job to fix everything. And I can tell you, I came from a family that was the exact opposite of that. Everybody was in everyone else's business. Everybody was telling everybody what they should and shouldn't do, what was acceptable and not acceptable. And when you do that, you're giving all of your that's when you're actually giving your power away. That's when you're giving your power over to situations and circumstances. And by stepping back and by surrendering and just accepting what is, you're actually regaining your own internal power. And you're also reclaiming your own peace. And there's so many times that I gave up my own internal peace and my own self-love to be embroiled in what's going on outside of me and around me. And it really is amazing to maintain that internal peace. And
Yes, peace is such a huge thing. And I think that, for a lot of us during the holidays, like you were saying, when family and situations and things happen, protecting our peace has to be number one, right? Protecting our peace has to be number one in order to be able to move forward, to be in that gratitude. And Ellen, if you'll unmute yourself one more time, we cannot hear. And I'm not sure if there's a delay now or not, but for me, protecting our peace, I think it has to be, and that includes setting up healthy boundaries with families, with conversations, with things like that, in order to truly be in that flow of acceptance and surrender. All right, guys, part 2 of our grace and gratitude. So, gratitude, I love that we get to connect from all around the world. However, sometimes we have to give ourselves grace because technology just sometimes doesn't want to work right. Mercury retrograde, full moon's coming this week, a lot of big energy in the world. Very excited. End of December, we have our winter solstice. Got a lot of energy movement that's happening. And so sometimes technology, I don't know, just took a pause. So we're getting back on. We are getting Miss Ellen back in here. That technology is technology, and we're learning to be friends with it. And sometimes that's awesome. And we're grateful that we have the ability to connect with all of you. And then we got to give ourselves grace when it just doesn't quite work right. So here we are, part 2, gratitude and grace. Grateful that we have this group. I mean, this was a prime example of it. Grateful that we have this group. Grateful that we can connect this way. Grateful we don't have to be in the same place doing a book club like we used to do. Now we get to do it virtually, which is awesome. So we can tune in from around the world. and then give ourselves grace when the beautiful technology and the platforms that we have decide to go, wonky for no good reason. So,
I don't know. Last week we managed to stay on for the whole time, but here we are again. So I'm glad to be back. Hopefully you can hear me now.
yep, all
Perfect.
good.
Oh,
Yay.
good. Yay. So, yes, and as we've talked about, gratitude is, especially if you can practice it every day. And a lot of people do a gratitude journal. I know Oprah recommended one for a long time, to write down 5 things that you're grateful for before you go to sleep and at night. Some people like to write down 3 things that they're grateful for when they wake up in the morning. Either one, you can combine it with the high five self-love tune-up. Um, the self-love high five, which is step 1 of the light formula, which is I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm holding my phone so everybody can see me, so I can't do the other hand. But Leona did it for us. And when you're looking at yourself in the mirror in the morning and looking into your eyes, the gateway to your soul, just appreciating something about yourself every morning. Whether it's your smile, whether it's that you got out of bed, whether it's that you're excited about something for the day. And hopefully when we get to step 5, when you're looking for 5 minutes of something to bring you joy, you'll have something to look forward to every day because you will have set that up the day before. So that's something to come. And it really does. The more you can practice it, the more it rewires your brain for resilience, for that abundance, for that higher vibration and that energy that allows you, one, to have more energy to get through your day. That's part of the thriving formula. Because when you're just surviving, when you're in a victim mentality, when you're in that state where you feel like the world is against you and that everything's happening to you instead of for you and for your benefit, that's the survival mode. And that mode brings you, usually drains your energy, where you're getting more and more tired. And again, as Leona so beautifully said earlier, the more where your energy goes, or where your focus goes, your energy goes. So if you're focusing on what's not working in your life, if you're focusing on what's happening to you instead of what's happening around you that you don't need to react to, your energy goes down. And so when you can get to a state of gratitude and a state of grace, that's a higher vibration. And at that higher vibration, then you have more energy and you're letting go of the other things that you can't control, which is earlier in the book, and focusing on what you can control. And like I said, for me on Thanksgiving, it was controlling my inner state, my inner peace, and what I needed to do for myself to stay in that state. So asking yourself those simple questions, like, what do I need to do about this situation? Is it in my control? Is this something that is mine to take care of? You know, if you created a rift with someone, then it's up to you to do some repair work around that. But if it's between other people, that's not something that you need to be involved in the middle of. So it's that discernment. It's figuring out what is yours and what isn't, and letting go of what isn't. And then you have more energy to do the things that do bring you joy and to do bring more lightness and more thriving and energy to you.
Yeah, I think discernment is such a huge word that I learned, a few years ago when I was going through some deep energy work, and discerning what is yours and what isn't. Sometimes we feel a way and it's someone else's energy that's leaking into us or overlapping or coming in. And you have to ask, is this a me problem or is that a you problem? Because a lot of time it's a them problem and not a you problem. And you don't have to step yourself into it, right? So having that discernment, is super key, I think, for sure. Really knowing, is this somewhere that is going to empower me or the situation to step in? Or is it disempowering to step in because you're then over talking or overlaying the situation that needs to be resolved within those people, right? I think having discernment of, protecting your peace when it is important to, realize that you need to put a healthy boundary up, to go for the walk, to remove yourself, to take the 5 minutes in the bathroom, whatever you need to do to protect your peace, to have that discernment, I think is such a key thing. And some, you know, a word that I had heard, but I didn't really understand it until you really start practicing it and understanding, oh, okay, that's what discernment is. That's what it is. It's asking your higher self, your intuition. Is this really a me thing? Is there something that I could be serving or serving others in? And if this answer is like immediate no, right? That's not your sacred yes. If you muscle test and it is not like a full body yes, then please have that discernment and take space back and protect your peace, so allowing other people to have theirs.
Yes, and I know that you and I have been trained in a process called grounding and connecting, where you take life breaths, which is the 4 square box breathing. So breathing into a count of 4, holding for a count of 4, letting go for a count of 4, and holding again for a count of 4. And just doing that, repeating that a few times when you're feeling triggered or upset. There's another beautiful piece to this exercise, which is sending a grounding cord into the center of the earth, anchoring it in, and then anchoring in and connecting to source. And then on doing another life breath, the 4 square breath, is gathering up all the energy that no longer serves you. And like you said, I mean, especially as empaths, which I know you are, and I'm assuming probably a lot of people on this call are, you know, it is very easy. We're sensitive, and we pick up energy very easily. And a lot of times, like you said, it could be energy that you're not even aware of that you're picking up. You know, you've gone to the mall, you've gone to the store, people are rushed, especially this time of year. And that's why we're doing this at this time of the year and doing the summit next week, is to give people some tools and some skills to get through the holidays thriving instead of just surviving. And so the box breathing can be part of that. And then the other step to that is, once you've released all this energy that doesn't serve you and perhaps wasn't yours to start with, you just picked up during your day and from everybody else around you that is stressed through the holidays, you then take in a life breath and imagine either light coming from source, God, or the universe, filling every cell of your body. So you do, if you release things, you do want to make sure that you go back and refill that tank so that you're full. And then I like to end it with this step, which is gratitude and grace. So what can you, once you've calmed your nervous system back down to its normal resting state, what can you be grateful for, or where can you give grace and acceptance? So anything else from your side that you'd like to share around
I love
this?
that. Yeah, I think, and people don't realize that, you know, taking some deep breathing, especially that box breathing. So when we're box breathing, we're balance breathing. It's the 4, 4, 4, 4, because the amount in and out are the same. So it actually balances out your system. If you want to down regulate, if you're in the evening time, you actually want to exhale longer than you inhale, because you want to release more and regulate down and slow everything down. And so if you're at nighttime getting ready to go to bed and you want to bring your gratitude list in, if you want to down regulate yourself, maybe you do an in for 4, hold for 2, exhale out for 6 or 8, then hold for 2, and then redo it. So as long as your out is longer than your in, you can really exhale, release even more, down regulate even more. And then once you start really refilling yourself, refilling with that sparkling white light, that healing light, then bring in that gratitude list, right? That's a great time to be like, what am I so grateful and thankful for? And then when you're in that gratitude, remember, you can't be in lack or any other frequency or state. And so it changes your nervous system. And it can take as little as 2 minutes to regulate your nervous system with breathing. I always tell people, breath is your superpower. It is amazing. And I will always ground and connect my clients, always using breath work, always clearing and refilling. And like you said, you have to clear out, but don't forget that you need to refill yourself. You've got to fill up your tank. You can't go to the store and do all the shopping for all the people if your tank is on empty. Same with us. We have to refill ourselves with that love and light energy, with health and vitality and our life breath. When we breathe, that helps recharge us. It's like plugging in our internal battery for our heart and soul when we do that. And then when we're focusing energy where it's flowing to that gratitude, everything just kind of sets up. And it doesn't have to take a long time. 2 to 5 minutes is really enough to be able to change a state. And that's really what it is we're in a state of being, doing all the time versus being like restful and the rest and digest part. And so, yeah, great rememberings and reminders for people. And then, ask your unconscious mind. You have us to ask them, like, what is it you need from this? What do you need to learn from it? What are the next aligned action steps? And then take those action steps to create momentum to move forward. Because you have everything inside of you that you need. We just sometimes forget, and we need the remembering and the coaches and the healers to bring that out so you can get tapped into it. So remember, this is the perfect time of the season of the year to actually do the things that we're suggesting to do, because creating that space and time will only help all the other things that are going on in your life even better. So we invite you to really practice in this grace and gratitude in this time.
Yes. And, and just to finish up the story, when I came back from my walk, then, my brother and his girlfriend had actually gotten to a good place, and the energy in the room shifted. And that's the other thing. Like, when you can keep that peace within you, you may find that the situation around you shifts and changes just because you've shifted what's inside of you. So you might be the candle that lights your family celebrations this year with peace and joy. If again you can hold that space within you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we know that, that ripple effect, that impact that we create when we raise our vibration, when we're in a more state of peace, that's going to be more effective for those around us. Nervous energy is just as contagious as peaceful energy, but it's going to be way more impactful when we're coming from a place of peace and gratitude and love, and coming from our heart space and connecting our heart and brain and creating coherence and having that field of energy out into the world versus chaos. So think coherence versus chaos. Bring that heart and mind connection together. Come from your heart space during this year.
I love that.
And one of my favorite programs on the Healy, I was running mine earlier today. Coherence is one of my favorite programs, and it literally does connect your brain and heart together and come and lead from that heart space. It's part of the heart map and mapping that, all of Joe Dispenza and everybody talks about. It's coming from that heart space, and it's connecting these two things together and leading from that. So if we can remember to lead from coherence, come from a heart-centered space, leave the chaos behind, and have the contagiousness of gratitude, grace, acceptance, surrender, and love and joy be our focus, and then we're flowing with that, then that'll help everybody else around us be in that flow.
Yes, that is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, just it's amazing how just a few minutes of breath work or something to break that state of that nervous energy or that upset, and returning to peace can really have a great ripple effect. And it ripples out into your health and well-being too, because how many people do you know that get upset all the time, or they're angry, and then they've got high blood pressure, they've got ulcers, they've got diabetes. I mean, what we think, all these thoughts that run through our brain can drive us into this like hyper state, and then that does have an impact on our bodies, and it can cause disease and illness. And just changing your mindset, and again, Leona and I are both trained in release processes. So if you do need more help, if you do need more support, please reach out, because we are here for you, and we want you to have the tools. And if you can't do it on your own, that's a great time to hire a coach or a healer to help support you and finding those tools and finding what works for you, so that you can clean out. I like to think of it as spring cleaning for the house, is spring cleaning the inside of us, because a lot of times we have picked up stuff over the years that no longer serves us. And if you don't do that cleaning, that dust and things just can muck up the inner workings.
Yes, and our inner world is a reflection. When we don't like the things going in our outer world, it's because the inner world needs to be cleaned up too. And in our inner world, if we're not having that peace, we're not in that balance, we don't have harmony, we're not working on coherence. When our energy is off, right? It's off. That's when a dis-ease, discomfort, disarray happens in our life. That's where all the disses come in. So we're going to release the dis, come into the balance, come into the harmony, and get yourself going where you need to do. And, a lot of times we need someone. We always say, like with Genius Unlocked and our life coaching and spiritual life coaching, you can't see the label inside the jar. So like when you're in your own stuff, you can't really see what's going out. It takes an outside perspective to help pull it out, bring it out, facilitate. And really what we're doing is just holding that energetic space for you to make transformation, because you have it all within you. We're just going to help hold the space and create that transformation for you and allow it to happen. And so that's the cool thing.
It is. And it's such an honor and privilege to be able to help someone, from a stuck in the jar kind of place to having the freedom and being out and being able to fully express themselves in whatever way that looks.
Yes. Oh, and I'm so excited that we're having this time to connect. Remember, connection, community is so important. I always say I love having new members of the High Vibe tribe. So make sure that you're coming in, raising your vibration, remembering to breathe, be, connect, and join us for the continuation of this. We've got Ellen coming next week. That's going to be our week 4. We're going to skip a week, and then week 5 will be the 23rd, where we're going to really focus on joy. So I cannot wait. I'm so excited for the Unstoppable You Summit. Tune in day 1, December 8th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, so you can see Ellen and I talking. We're going to be giving away free gifts. There's chances to upgrade into VIP. There's chances to meet other healers and connect. It's going to be a great place to learn some more tips and tricks so that you can truly be unstoppable. That's what we want you to do. We want 2026 to be unstoppable. That's my word. I always choose a word every year, and my word for 2026 is unstoppable. I am creating momentum now with connections and movement in my body. There is going to be nothing that's stopping me from next year to reaching all of my goals. So I hope that you are as motivated and excited for next year as I am, and that we're going to finish up this year super strong and getting all the tools and the connections next week on the Unstoppable You Summit, and then joining Ellen again next week live here at 6 p.m. Eastern time for our virtual book club.
Yes. And just 2 things. One, I did pick a word for 2026 already. My word for 2025 was shine, and I feel like I've really accomplished that. And 26 is dance. So dancing with life, just moving and going with the flow of the music and the music inside my own heart. So really looking forward to seeing what amazing things 2026 has to bring. And for those of you that might need a little bit more help, I did create a holiday thriving guide. So I will put the link in the comments below this video. So please check that out. And I will put a link to the Unstoppable You Summit, since I will be speaking on Monday at 12:45. So looking forward to the summit that Shauna and Leona put together next week, so that we can all be unstoppable in 2026.
Yes, absolutely. Well, until next time, guys, we're sending much light and love from our heart to yours. Remember to change your state, be able to come from a place of love, peace, and coherence. And until next time, I'm sending you much light and love. Peace and namaste.
Namaste.